In this video, we're talking about how PlayStation is bigger than ever, how Sony just cut the PS5 release schedule in half, and there's a ton of new PS5 hardware, but are you going to buy it? How's it going, everyone? Welcome to PSReady. This is the weekend video where I get Ray Trevino here and we talk about the biggest PlayStation news from the week. We got some awesome stuff to dig into here. Ray was just telling me he beat Spider-Man.
I had a good time, I will say. But we were just talking about how I feel like, you know, the emotional beat did not reach the heights that I felt in that Spider-Man PS4 storyline, culminating in that decision that Peter has to make at the end with Aunt May. So, but you know, it was still like the boss fights were sick. We were just talking about Scream, MJ freaking roasting Peter while she's like kicking the crap out of him.
I was like, am I really seeing Scream right now? Like, this is crazy. I remember Scream from the cartoon when I was a kid, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Sony's bigger than ever, Ray. They just announced that they have sold almost 47 million PlayStation 5 so far, and that Spider-Man, in its first 11 days on the market, sold 5 million copies. And despite the fact that the PS5, we're coming up on a year where it doesn't really seem like there's much to be, you know, hype over in terms of big releases that are exclusive, other than like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and a few others, some indie games and other smaller titles. People are excited to be buying a PlayStation 5. You can get a bundle right now. We'll talk about it later with either Modern Warfare 3 or Spider-Man 2 with the new PS5, and Sony's anticipating selling quite a few of those consoles. So yeah, they're doing good right now. Things are good for Sony.
I would say that PlayStation 5 has or is on the border of achieving like almost like Apple status, right? Like they can go through these periods of time where, you know, software isn't really doing anything super crazy, or they release like one, you know, because all of 2022, first party output has been Spider-Man, and they've had a couple of like timed exclusives through Square and stuff. Does not seem to have affected people wanting to buy a PS5, how like entrenched people are in the PlayStation 5 hype. And it makes me wonder, you know, what if there was no semiconductor shortage? How much further along that these sales might be? Like, would they be approaching almost like PS2 numbers, you know? Because, I mean, through 3 years, this is a pretty strong showing. I mean, they're all well on track to sell over 100 million units by the end of this console generation, which is tentatively, I guess, 2028. So it makes me wonder, really, like if there was no console shortage, what it would be like, what these numbers would be like.
And right about now is when you'd expect to see a hardware refresh, when sales are starting to plateau. The PS5 Slim, for how not amazing it looks, it's not like the original PS5 looks all that great by comparison, and all these videos coming out where you can actually see it next to the old PS5. It is a pretty dramatic size reduction, and it doesn't run any hotter, it looks like. So it seems like a worthy purchase for people who maybe were on the fence or like didn't know if they want a PS5 yet. You know what I'm saying? Like now they can feel safe buying one of these Slims, and then next year they're probably going to get an even bigger bump when the PS5 Pro comes out. So console side, I think they're doing just fine.
It's encouraging if you're PlayStation, because now it's like you don't feel the pressure to, oh, I got to release, you know, these games across generations, right? Like you can safely be like, okay, there are almost 50 million PlayStation 5s out there. If we release a game just for PlayStation 5s, we'll be able to make that money back. We don't have to put in the extra effort to make sure this is cross-generational. And that applies to third-party publishers too. So it's like, they're like, hell yeah, let's leave the old generation behind.
Yeah, I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is definitely a next-gen only title. I think that's leaving the PS4 and Xbox One in the dust.
Thank God. And another interesting thing about these numbers that I wanted to get your opinion on. Apparently, like 67% of software sales and game sales are digital. It's almost like a 70-30 split almost. And I know you're a big advocate of physical media, not just in video games, but in all sorts of mediums. So what are your thoughts on that?
I like having physical media now with movies, because the bitrate sucks when you stream a movie, and they have this, you know, this thing called Movies Anywhere where you can log into Apple, Amazon, Vudu, all the services, and if you get a movie on one, it extends it to all the other ones. So that really built out my Apple library. On game consoles, I care less now, mostly because a lot of games that come out, you're not even getting the game on the disc. It's a license check at most. Like on the Nintendo Switch, I will buy everything physical, right? Like I went to the store, I bought Mario Wonder. I really wanted to try out Tears of the Kingdom finally the other day, and I was like, should I download it? And I was like, no, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to buy it, because having old Nintendo cartridges, they hold their value, right? Because the whole game's generally on the cartridge. Nintendo releases games that are generally finished, so you don't get a lot of patches, and they don't put their games on sale, which Sony is already giving away Spider-Man for free with new PS5s. The disc doesn't hold its value as much, and a lot of the time the content on the disc, if you put that disc in your console 6 months later, it needs a patch that's just downloaded the entire game again. So I'm like, whatever now. On my PS5, I've been buying everything digital lately just for convenience. But, you know, on the Switch, still going to buy stuff physically. Also, Steam Deck, I buy everything digitally because Steam is all digital, and I don't think that's really that big of an issue. Especially when, you know, it's cheaper than ever to get expanded storage for your PS5. A 2TB SSD is going to cost you like a little over $100 now. Super accessible, and the PS5 Slim finally has a full terabyte usable. So unless you're trying to have every Call of Duty game installed or something like that, you're generally going to have enough storage where you can play through a game and then just delete it. Like that's what I did with Spider-Man. When I was done, I said, all right, I'm probably never going to play this again. So I just cleared it off my console. We've seen that places like Meijer, which is Michigan Walmart and Target and all them, Best Buy specifically has announced that they're getting rid of physical media just because the margins aren't there. So it's going to become a niche thing. I don't think it'll ever go away totally. But one thing that I think is contributing to people playing digital more is the system where you can pay $30 on Game Pass to play a game early if you buy the ultimate upgrade.
We're seeing more and more incentives to tie your gaming purchases to whatever account that you use, whether Xbox Live, PS Plus, because especially over on the Xbox side, you know, the ability to transfer your saves from console to PC to cloud, whatever, that's, you know, I would say the biggest incentive, at least for me. I don't really mind the rise of digital games. I just, one, for convenience, like I buy these physical copies and then I'm like, frick, I don't have anywhere to put them. They're just like crowding. I throw them in the bottom of my drawers and stuff. Like I don't display them nice. So just having it, like, my desk is already super cluttered and stuff, so.
I have all my Switch games.
PlayStation.
Switch games are right there.
Oh yeah. Shelf. That's a good little thing. That's a good little collection, you know?
Yeah, but I don't have any of my PS5 games out. I used to, and now I'm like, whatever, who cares? Like, there's so many games now that I have disc versions on PS4, some on PS5. They don't look right together on the shelf.
I do miss box art. I miss cover art, like good cover art, and I miss like the little booklets that used to come in gaming cases and stuff. Like it'd show you how to play the game. It would tell you all about the game, give you strategies maybe. Like you'd learn more about it. I miss that kind of era, but that, you know, I'm still playing a lot of games. It's just a different kind of feel.
But one thing that's definitely going to contribute to the fall of physical games is the 12 live service games that Sony said that they wanted to have out by 2029. And one of the announcements that was tied into the 46 million PS5s that have been sold is that they've actually delayed about half of those games. So now they're targeting 6 games by 2029, which I still think is too many, you know? Like, how no one has time, I don't think, anymore to juggle live services when you've got Call of Duty that's getting updates all the time through Warzone. You have Destiny 2, which is getting new seasons all the time, even though Bungie is a disaster right now. Diablo 4 is finally good again, right? Like, Halo Infinite's good again. Fortnite has the original island back, the original map. Like, juggling all these battle passes, I don't think anyone can feasibly do that.
Yeah.
But, like, the money's there, so I can see why they're chasing it, because they just need one of these games to hit, you know?
12 games, 12 live service games by 2026 over the next 3 years. That's crazy. Like that's way too much. And it is a little concerning that there are some delays going on with this. That's definitely not something that you want to hear, especially after Sony acquired Bungie. Because the assumption was like, oh, they're bringing in Bungie because they have all this experience running this very successful live service game. And so to hear that they're struggling with their games as a service, that definitely wasn't the expectation, right? But I will say, like, 6 games, I feel like that's a little bit more manageable, but like you're saying, that's still like a lot, especially as there are already established live service games that are competing, like dominating people's attention and stuff. Because with these games, what they need is a consistent player base, a consistent community, and that's hard to build up, right? It takes time.
Yeah, and it seems like that's where everything's going, though, because even Warner Brothers, this studio that's been lauded for games like Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, the Arkham trilogy, Hogwarts Legacy is still the best-selling game this year, I think. Big single-player games. Even they said they're transitioning to a live service future, specifically with stuff like Suicide Squad, and then everything after that, they're going to make sure that they have live service stuff ready to go. It seems like where everybody's going, but I don't think there's room for all of this, right?
I don't think that, yes, I 100% agree. There's not room, right? Especially for 12, like whoever is pitching 12 games over the next 3 years, that's crazy. Like, what were the games that were delayed? Because we know that the Last of Us multiplayer delayed. We know that they're working on, Guerrilla Games is working on Horizon online game. Would be better served like letting their major studios just do what they do, like their single player narrative driven games, and then have Bungie just work on whatever live service game that they want.
Yeah, they want to get people's hard-earned money, but people are probably going to be spending their money on hardware this holiday season because there is a lot of it and there's some really good sales. So I don't know if you've ever picked up an extra DualSense, if you're watching the video or if you're Ray, but pretty much every DualSense out there right now is on sale for $49. So if you go to Amazon, I did not realize how many colors were available, but if you click on the DualSense listing on Amazon, the little like when you buy a t-shirt, there's like 50 million colors of it. Yeah. It's like, they're so tiny now because there's so many. So even the cobalt blue, lava red or whatever it was, I forget. The new metallic ones, the Deep Earth collection, those are $49. The red one,
that's cool.
The camo one, it looks like even the special edition ones are on sale for that price as well. So if your DualSense is looking a little rough, maybe it's worth going over to Amazon or Best Buy or wherever and upgrading. I have those all linked down in the description. But also the pre-orders are now available for the new headsets and the adapter, which the link adapter I was more excited for until I realized what it really does. So I thought this was going to be a way to wirelessly use your DualSense on PC finally, because doing it over Bluetooth sucks and doesn't really work. It turns out it's just for the headsets, and it's a replacement one. So like if you buy either of the new headsets, they come with the adapter anyway, but if you lose it, you can get a new one for $25, so that's cool. But all it's really for is making it so you get latency-free audio, whether you're on your PS5 or your PC. So the pre-orders are up now, and both of those headsets, like I mentioned, come with the PlayStation Link adapter. Are you going to pick any of these up?
$50 for a first-party controller. That's a steal. Like, if you're gonna buy a controller, you gotta do it
just
now,
like a straight up DualSense.
Because even like after taxes and stuff, just regular, not Black Friday, that's like you're paying almost $80 for it. So I 100% agree. If you're gonna upgrade, if you're gonna buy another DualSense, whether you want to play couch multiplayer games, the ones that are left anyway, with some friends or your romantic partner or whatever, now would be definitely the time. Or if you're like Jimmy says, like if your controller's looking a little crusty, and we know especially the white controller, they are prone to scuffs and crustiness build up, I guess. Now would be the time. The Galactic Purple is definitely on my list in order to pick up, and I'll even say the camouflage one for the DualSense. That's
the gray camo.
Well. I'm like,
it looks cool.
This is pretty dang cool. All right, I just have the white and the black one, so I would like a little pop of color, a little bit more interesting DualSenses to go in my setup.